A peaceful town of 3,000 sits on the eastern coast of Pram, under the banners of the kingdom of Hajif Hasim. The little town survives by its own labor and resource. If the rest of the civilized world evaporated around it, the simple hamlet would go on. However, trade is the key to not just surviving, but flourishing. Much like every other coastal municipality in this and other realms, Mestifa profits from a strong fishing economy and regular visits from traveling merchants both by land and sea. Has it always been this way? Juniper Kelly thinks it has. Old Jupe is a human weaver, a simple basket maker who's never been more than 15 miles from the town. Juniper was around when Mestifa was a cluster of Ari. His language is word for semi-permanent hide-covered dwellings used by many migratory peoples of the area. In fact, Jupe's parents' generation was the first to truly settle the little hill by the sea. His first memories are the swamp gators encountered during excursions to gather willow and whipgrass. His family had always been weavers, producing a variety of baskets for different needs. It was a more dangerous place back then, but not so many people. Still, largely the same. The first big event in Juniper Kelly's life was the coming of the Uka, a clan of Tagara who began raiding in his 17th year. The year after that, a peace was achieved with both peoples occupying the hilltop. It was a peace secured by a wedding, but years later, an order of elven priests passed through the village and told them such cross-species marriages were immoral. They found that the union was the reason for a decline in fishery harvests, and the ruling couple was thrown from the rocks into the churning sea below. Now, one of those elven priests is the king of Termini in that distant land to the south. By the time old Jupe was 25, the village had already begun to evolve. Yeah, there were always changes, but it always led to the same results. People fished, and old Jupe wove baskets. There were permanent structures and buildings in town now, down near the forest. The biggest difference was all the coming and going of wagons. Inland villages sent traders to buy their fish. Jupe's father sold them baskets when he could. The demand became so strong, they bought a pair of rispy slaves to help with the work. If you're looking at the map on the screen right now, you might be wondering about all those purple roofs. When I started with Incarnate, which was not all that long ago, I didn't realize you had quite so much control over setting with the hues. If you're just messing around with it, go into the advanced options and you'll see that you can switch some things around. You really have more control than just what's there on the base menu. However, I'm sticking with the purple roofs, and we're going to do something with it. You see, Juniper's cousin, Barracon Kelly, is about the same age as old Jupe. He came of age during the era of the tribal marriage. He was not a weaver, though, but a tile maker. The local clay, mixed with certain marsh plants, create a superior roofing tile, and the town's telltale signature hue. That little smokestack right there is where Baggy spent his 20s, sweating in the kilns, doing his part to improve conditions around the village. Even as a kid, Baggy was mouthy. He often spoke out against the immorality of a marriage between species. It wasn't exactly a new idea, but when the elves came, they took full advantage of the naysayers, including young Kelly. After regime change, Baggy was made constable as a reward for supporting the outsiders. In truth, the title made him more of a knight than a cop. As such, he found himself traveling for a few years. He ranged as far as the Cane, fighting to tame the lands, and occasionally taking jobs as a mercenary. When the Lorien Confederacy started organizing the sellswords of the land, it was time for Baggy to bow out. Upon returning to Mestifa, he took over the tile kilns and oversaw their improvement. Over the years, he and his cousin have watched their little village continue to grow, and they have participated in its development. And, oh, what's that? Oh, I missed my intro. Well, we can fix that. Hello, and welcome to the Silver Sentinels. This is a series where we go in depth to discover, document, whatever word you want to use. We are world building, folks. This is a bonus episode, and that means a short intro. So let me tell you what we're doing here. Up until now, you've been hearing about the history of a town named Mestifa. It's in the kingdom of Hajif Hasim, but pretty well stays clear of national politics. It's on the Gadalian coast and makes fair use of the sea, but it's not a major port. We're going to do the usual stuff. We'll talk about some politics, some eco, and we'll get ground level with the city. Maybe we'll learn a few things that even the locals don't know. My name is Lewis Nichols, and in my 30-something years of gaming, I've made every single mistake that you can think of, but I've learned a lot along the way, both from a DM's perspective and that of a writer's. That's right, while these videos are largely from an RPG perspective, I'd like to think that there are lessons to be learned for anybody who builds worlds. I think it's important to know about the history of an area that you're going to be working with. How we got to where we are will inform you of the current state of things and where it can grow from there. Once I know a little bit about the history, I like using what I call the oscillating method of world building. You start out with the big stuff: astronomy, the basics of magic and religion, planar structure, a rough world map. Let's say you put in 3,000 words. That was our first couple of episodes in this series. Then you zoom in, way in, right down to the neighborhood where your characters will start. Come up with some naming conventions, local government, social norms, cultural traits, etc., etc. Let's say another 3,000 words. Now zoom out again, but not too far. What are the politics and geography like where your town is situated in relation to other regional points of interest? We've done a lot of that already. We know Mestifa is in a kingdom. We know it's coastal. We know there are humans in Tagara around. We know there is an availability of slave labor. We know they trade in roof tiles, fish, and woven goods. Now, let's update the map and make more decisions. In year 20, Mestifa is still primarily humans and Tagara. The two species share many social traits, so they're a good fit. They are both primarily bipeds. Neither one has a scent objectionable to the other, and perhaps most importantly, they can share the same architecture and furniture without issues. None of this is to say other species are rare in the town. There is a rispy slave population, though prices have been going up and a number have been sold and exported. There are 3 small Minotaur families in the town. Orcs, elves, and equator merchants are common and barely a big deal when passing. Other species are more of a treat, including Ranayan, lizardmen, dwarves, and gnomes. Remember what we said about government? Hajif Hasim is a monarchy these days, but Mestifa has no serfs or nobles living in the town. The king's cousin reigns over the land, but his appointed Maori sees over things. Outside of town, there are families of landed nobility who do have a population of serfs tending their farms. Most of the small kingdom's towns and mine sites are seen over by Maori or slightly lesser Vistrum. Becoming noble is something fairly easy to do in the kingdoms. New declarations of lineages are fairly common, with 1 or 2, or maybe 3, new noble lines being approved every year. At the current rate, it's just a matter of time before Mestifa has its very own. Now you knew we were going to talk about the economy again. Coin is king in the seaside town. Fishermen sell directly to townsfolk and buy back any supplies they might need. Traveling merchants buy and sell in gold as well. Tender is almost exclusively in pennies and squids. Drakes are seldom seen by the majority of Mestifa's residents. Pearls and coral are a local source of income, but rarely traded directly. Instead, the town jeweler assesses individual pieces and sells them to higher-end merchants for a transaction fee. The area's unique wetlands have maintained the town's lead in exporting tiles and baskets. Lately, that list has expanded to include local herbs. All right, now sit down. We got to talk about something. All this business only matters if it's relevant to your campaign or your story. A little village is only going to be so important for so long in a fantasy campaign, unless you put some work into it. As a DM, you can give up early and pave the character's road to a larger city, or you can pull out the carrots and the sticks and see how long you can keep Mestifa relevant. Well, carrots are a root vegetable, so give them roots. Plant as many of your party members as you can directly into the town. It's completely reasonable that 3 or 4 budding adventurers are all ready to go at the same time. 2 more could easily be from the surrounding countryside. Maybe another is the son of a captain who regularly trades at the port. He has friends in Mestifa, and he knows a party will be forming soon. What is that? That's 7. Well, maybe even 8. There's your party. Give them some families. Most people have moms and dads. Make sure your characters do too. Make them interesting, positive characters. Spread around a few potential love interests. Maybe a party member is already married, possibly even with a child. And don't forget about friends. Friends are the glue that holds communities together. If you really want to commit, give them a list of names, people they've interacted with over the younger years of their life, how they met, adventures they've been on. Not real adventures, but the kids' stuff. Hiding from grandma, going out to places they weren't supposed to be, all the trouble that normal people get into, whether it's fantasy, sci-fi, or just the mundane world. These are the things that will endear a character to their home. Now, what about the quest givers? The key to any successful party is regular adventuring opportunities. Maybe Hagia, the town seer, gets lucky a few times. Maybe she has real powers. She rolls the bones and sends the party off to the road of riches. Quests can tie back to the families, too. Maybe their first mission is to travel with a pouch of gold to buy medicine for someone's sick little sister. Always keep your eye on the prize. Your party has returned to Mestifa after their second small expedition. There has been talk of training and the amenities of a larger population zone. You tug at their heartstrings. Their families welcome them back, serving up their favorite meals. They're heroes already to their young siblings. Talking with childhood friends, each adventurer can tell the things that were once important are starting to fade. They are approached by a town councilman. It's old Jupe, given some authority based on his age. Not to look the beggar, but I was wondering if you fellas could help a bit. For 10 gold, I can get them Churgan pens built on the inland road. That gold would feed a crew for days. We could get them pens, dig a well. We could set up a place for them merchants to graze their stock and park the wagons. What do you say? Will you finance this for your town? If the party declines, that's the end of it. Don't get so invested in this idea that you punish the party for not following your dreams. However, if they do accept, the work gets done and you hand over a bright and shiny accomplishment tree. You can make it work whether you use XP or milestones. It might be something simple like this. Campaign objectives unlocked. Mestifa Ascendant. Objective 1. Grow the town's population from 3,000 to 5,000. Complete 3 of the 5 tasks to ensure growth is reached in the coming year. Number 1. Build a new level 2 temple. Number 2. Recruit a healer for the town. Number 3. Improve the docks to level 2. Number 4. Attract 2 new level 1 businesses to the town. Number 5. Establish an overland route to the nearest city-state on the upper Lusani. Each step should count for about 1/6 of a level. If the criteria are met, the city will grow and they'll get another XP reward for it. I'd say another 1/6 of their way to the next level. This is extra on top of their normal development in the course of fulfilling these conditions. This is something that can take months, maybe even years. And if you want to make it tougher or just more involved, any of these conditions could be an adventure all on its own. As soon as these are done, well, here comes Tier 2. Objective 2, Boomtown. Reach a population of 7,500. Complete 3 of the 5 tasks to ensure growth is reached in the coming year. Number 1, get any structure or business to level 3. Number 2, recruit an engineer and a troop of builders to the town. Number 3, choose your fate, by sea or by land. Build a lighthouse or improve the trade route to the upper Lusani. Number 4, add 5 levels of business development to Mestifa. And 5, establish legitimacy. Devise a scheme to put someone of noble standing in charge of the town. Now, this isn't something for a party to work on relentlessly, but it will require occasional attention. To get XP, the party accepts a lead role in the development project. They will have to make the decisions, and if they break for too long in a long adventure, progress might be lost. From a DM's point of view, keep your eye on the prize. Are the players having fun? Are you succeeding in maintaining Mestifa as the focus of the campaign? As long as they keep coming back, you're accomplishing your goal. If you don't care about Mestifa, beyond just needing a small generic town, campaign objectives can work for just about any setting, level, or design of party. It's something I've only started working with, so expect me to keep refining it. Someday, the idea might get to a video. Imagine that. Even in this small town, there sure is a lot to say. We could have added some new monsters, or introduced a whole skiffload of interesting NPCs. However, this is just a bonus episode, and we're already past 2,000 words and 16 minutes recording time. I hope I've inspired some thinking today. Leave a comment, leave a like. You know how to do the stuff. You are all important parts of this world, and I'm glad you exist. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. Okay, quick credit cookie. So, I keep talking about leaving comments. This is your opportunity to influence my videos. All that stuff I talked about, different level temples, different level structures, adding development levels. There's a whole video I could do on that stuff. Eventually I'll get around to it, but you know how to make it happen quicker? Leave a comment and tell me it's something you want to hear. If you'd rather have something else sooner, leave a comment and tell me that that's the thing that you want to hear about.